The day stretches before me like a battlefield yet to be claimed. The War Council awaits my orders. Their maps sprawled across the table, tiny figurines marking cities and fortresses. The room reeks of ink, sweat, and fear. They rise when I enter, bowing low, their voices trembling as they greet me. Sit, I command, my tone leaving no room for hesitation. They obey instantly. I stand at the head of the table, my shadow falling over the maps, blotting out towns and rivers. My presence is a reminder to them all. This kingdom is not ruled by treaties or laws, it is ruled by me. Reports, I snap. A general clears his throat. Your Majesty, scouts confirm small bands of insurgents have been spotted along the eastern border. They move quickly, striking villages before disappearing into the forests. We suspect they are led by survivors of the rebel lords we crushed last winter. I lean forward, my hands pressing against the table. And how many of these insurgents have been captured? None, sire, the general admits, his eyes dropping to the floor. They know the land too well. A cold fury coils inside me, sharp and burning. Then burn the forests. The room goes silent. I can feel their unease, their fear of questioning me. But one braver foolish counselor dares to speak. Your Majesty, the villages depend on those forests. If we burn them, we risk. Do I look like a man concerned with risks? My voice thunders through the chamber. Every tree you spare is a place for my enemies to hide. Every shadow you leave unburned is a dagger aimed at my son's throat. The counselor pales, his mouth opening and closing like a fish gasping for air. I slam my fist down on the map, scattering the figurines. My orders are not suggestions. Carry them out. The general bows deeply. At once, Your Majesty. When the council disperses, I remain alone in the war room. The silence is deafening. My gaze drifts to the corner of the map, where the night last wrote from a remote village far beyond the eastern hills. My baby is there, hidden among people who do not know his name, who see him only as a boy with bright eyes, and an innocent laugh. But innocence is a fragile thing. I imagine his small hands, the way they must reach for everything, curious and unafraid. I imagine his steps growing steadier each day, his voice growing stronger. And with every passing moment, I feel the noose of danger tighten around him. He is my greatest joy and my greatest weakness. The thought of losing him twists my stomach into knots, makes it hard to breathe. I trace my finger over the map, over the tiny mark that represents his village. My kingdom is vast, yet he occupies the only piece of it that truly matters. My baby, I whisper, my voice breaking in the empty room. I am building an empire of fire and blood, not for me, but for you. One day, you will inherit a throne built on the bones of my enemies. A bitter laugh escapes me. They will call you a tyrant son. They will hate you for my sins. But they will never touch you. Never. Night falls, heavy and suffocating. The palace grows quiet, its halls lit by flickering torches. I do not sleep. I cannot. Sleep invites dreams, and dreams invite memories I cannot bear. Instead, I walk the corridors alone, my steps echoing like ghosts behind me. The guards bow as I pass, their faces pale, their eyes carefully averted. They fear me, as they should. Fear keeps them loyal. I find myself once again outside the nursery. The door creaks softly as I push it open. The room smells faintly of lavender and dust, preserved, as if time itself dares not touch it. Your crib stands in the center, untouched since the night I sent you away. A blanket still lies folded at its edge, stitched with golden thread. I cross the room and pick it up, holding it to my face. The fabric is cold now, lifeless, but once it was warm with your presence. My knees waken. I sank to the floor beside the crib, clutching the blanket like a lifeline. I told myself it was for the best, I murmur, my voice hoarse. That sending you away would keep you safe. But every day, I wonder if I was wrong. If you need me and I am not there. The walls offer no answer. A single tear escapes before I can stop it, falling onto the blanket. It disappears instantly, swallowed by the fabric, leaving no trace. I bow my head and whisper, "Forgive me, my baby. One day, when you are old enough to understand, you will know why I did this, why I chose a crown instead of you." Far to the east, an enemy stirs. My spies bring whispers of a new figure rising among the rebels of man they call the Phantom. No one has seen his face, but his words ignite rebellion like dry tinder. Villages pledge loyalty to him in secret, and soldiers defect in the dead of night. The reports send a chill down my spine. I cannot shake the feeling that this Phantom is hunting more than my crown. That somehow, he knows about me. The corridors of the palace blurred around me as I stormed through them, my rage a living thing that seemed to warp the very air. Servants scattered at the sight of me, their terrified gasps echoing in the vaulted halls. Guards pressed themselves flat against the walls, their eyes downcast, praying I would not notice them. I was no longer merely a king in that moment, it was wrath incarnate, a tempest given flesh. My mind burned with one image, your small face, innocent and unknowing, twisted in fear as strangers dragged you away from safety. The thought drove me to the brink of madness. I had ruled with cruelty, with iron and fire, but always with one purpose: to keep you hidden, to keep you safe. And now they had dared to take you. The War Council awaited me in the chamber, their faces pale as death when I entered. They knew before I spoke that something catastrophic had happened. I did not say. I did not greet them. I stood at the head of the table, my hands gripping its edge so tightly that the wood groaned under the pressure. "The eastern village has fallen," I said, my voice low and lethal. "My knight is dead. My son has been taken." The words struck them like a blow. Gasps and murmurs erupted around the table, but I silenced them with a single glare. Who was responsible? I demanded. One general swallowed hard, his voice trembling. "Your Majesty, we believe it was the Phantom's forces. The timing, the method of attack, it bears his mark." "Belief is not enough," I snarled, slamming my fist down with such force that the map table cracked. "I want certainty. I want names. I want every rebel who even whispered about my son dragged here in chains." The room fell into terrified silence. No one dared to move. No one dared to breathe. Finally, the scared general, the only one brave enough to meet my gazes, spoke. "Sire, we will send riders to every province, every outpost. We will scour the land until we find him." I turned on him, my voice rising to a roar that shook the chamber. "Scour the land. I will not wait while they hide my son in shadows and silence. Mobilize every soldier, every weapon, every spy. From this moment forward, the entire kingdom marches under one banner, the banner of war." The generals dropped to their knees in unison, voices trembling as they swore their obedience. But their vows meant nothing to me. I did not want obedience. I wanted blood. When the council was dismissed, I stood alone amid the wreckage of the meeting, shattered table, the scattered figurines, the maps torn and stained. I stared down at the ruined pieces of the kingdom I had spent years building. Once, I had thought my reign would bring order. I had believed that if I crushed my enemies swiftly enough, completely enough, there would come a day when I could lay down my sword and simply be a father. But that day had never come. And now it never would. I sank to my knees, gripping the edge of the map as though I could hold the world together with my bare hands. My body trembled, not with weakness, but with the sheer force of the rage boiling inside me. "My baby," I whispered, my voice breaking. "I'm sorry. I promised you safety, and I failed. But hear me now. I will burn the world to bring you back." The wind howled through the broken windows, as if the very palace bore witness to my vow. The hunt began at dawn. The capital became a war machine overnight. Armored columns thundered through the streets, their banners snapping in the cold morning air. Blacksmiths worked without rest, the clang of their hammers echoing through every district. Messengers rode in all directions, carrying orders sealed with my personal sigil, a black crown encircled by fire. From the highest towers to the lowest hovels, the people whispered in fear. Some called me a tyrant. Others called me a savior. But all knew one truth: the king's wrath was no longer aimed at rebels or traitors alone. It was aimed at everyone. No corner of the kingdom would be spared. I rode at the head of the army, clad in black armor that gleamed like obsidian beneath the rising sun. The weight of the crown had been replaced by the weight of my sword, and for the first time in years, I felt almost whole. The air was thick with the scent of smoke and anticipation. Soldiers marched in perfect formation behind me, their faces grim, their eyes fixed on the horizon. We reached the first village by midday. The villagers fell to their knees as we approached, trembling, their voices babbling pleas for mercy. "Your Majesty," their elder stammered, crawling forward on his hands and knees. "We swear we know nothing of the boy you seek. We have done nothing to deserve." I dismounted slowly, every movement deliberate, measured. The soldiers watched in silence, holding their breath. I crouched before the elder, my face inches from his. My voice was soft, almost tender. "I believe you," I said. Relief flooded his features,